So now that we have a little intro into grids, levels, and columns, we're going to do something that applies more directly to your project. So this is a Beetle model that would work for project 2, and we're going to put it into Rhino and then add floors and columns. So the first step is you want to save as or export. So we're going to select File, Export Selected, Beetle 2. Then we're going to change it, make sure it's a DWG AutoCAD drawing, DWG, save. And these are okay for now for what we need. And then we're going to open Revit. So we're going to New, Architectural Template, and then OK. So this just opened a brand new file. We have our presets level 1 and 2 and our elevations here. I'm going to quickly go to View 3D just so that pops up down over here. So as you can see, it's blank. We're going to go to where is it? Insert, import CAD, and then we're going to go to our desktop, find our file, perfect, place at level 1, that's fine, you can change it. So right now it's pretty small for what I want. So I'm going to try and scale it with this button here that has a little silver or gray square to a bigger blue square. Can't move pinned element. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to click on it once. This blue pin changes to a different color. And now it's unpinned. So we can scale it. And it's similar to Rhino. So you click the base point and then the reference point, and then now we'll scale it to be how big we want it. I'm going to make it pretty big. 80 feet sounds good. Now I actually want to rotate it because I think that would be more interesting. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So all I did was open up the east window because I want to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. Rotate up here to the big round arrow. And then you can click from the base point. You can move the base point by clicking on it. So you can move it down here, move it up here. I'm going to keep it somewhere in the center. That's fine. And then click at the top. And you can rotate it 90 degrees, or you can type in 90, hit enter, move down there, which is fine, and just click and drag, move it back up, so it's intersecting with my level 1 and level 2. I'm going to go down to level 1 and make a grid, so systems, under structure, grid, and then click, let's do 10, click, click. Oops, I'll fix that. And if you click on one and you change the dimensions, you need to be careful because the one you click on is the one that will actually move. So if I click this and say 11, that's good, but then if I want to move this one further down, it moved it from this one up. So you want to click on the one you want to move instead of the one that you want to stay stationary. I'm going to make a couple more grid lines going the other way. Here at the bottom, go to the top. And do the same 10 by 10 grid. 10. That's good. Go through and make these just a little bit taller. So we can really define that grid. Okay, now we're going to make a floor. So I'm already on level 1, but we're already on floor here, but we want to be under the architecture tab, floor. So now we know that we can use this rectangle tool, but this is such a organic form that that's not going to work very well for us. So what we want to do is, I like to alternate between the pick lines tool and the regular line tool because it's a complex shape and alternating between the two really helps me out, and hopefully I'll be able to show you why in just a moment. So I'm going to go through and select the outside lines quickly. When you're using these two tools, you need to be careful that all of the lines you're selecting meet together at the same point. So this one's being a little tricky and it won't highlight, so we can try and press tab and it'll highlight a different one, but that's still not the one we want. So this is when I'll alternate to the other line tool, but first I like to highlight the one that's connecting, so then when you get that little square, it knows it's snapping to the endpoint. So sometimes when that pick line tool is being a little tricky, I'll go in and just use this regular line tool. But the pick line tool is pretty helpful. We can go through and select them fairly quickly for being such a complex geometry. Oops. And go down and extend this one to let's see, maybe that one. This is another one where it's being a little tricky. Cancel. So then switch to the line tool and try and get this endpoint here. There we go. Switch back to the pick line tool. And I don't want this whole line, so I'm going to click over here on modify, or you can press your escape key. Click once on the line, and it'll let you move those endpoints. Back to pick line tool. Click and drag. This one doesn't want me to pick it either. Endpoint to endpoint. Pick to add this shape. Come back, modify. I'm gonna make these two so that they intersect here. Oops. Okay. Moving on. And this line, I'm going to draw from here to this endpoint, and then modify, click and drag this one up to here. If you try and draw two lines that are basically in the same line, so if I were to have to gone from here to this point, sometimes it gets a little tripped up because it's not exact, so it's better to use fewer lines. This one, and pretty quickly we're already back to our starting point. You can also delete these lines. Your computer might get a little frustrated. Revit likes to make loud noises when you delete things. So now we've gone through and selected all the boundary lines. You can click the check mode, and then it says an error, which is okay. It's just a warning. Lines must be in closed loops. The highlighted lines are open on one end, and then my lines are still pink here, so I'm gonna click show, and then this little message shows up, and it just gives you some tips. I've already read through this, so I don't want to see it again. And then it's really nice when you click show, get past that message, it'll take you right to where the error is, and you click continue, and then I can quickly click modify and connect these two lines. See if that'll work. Nope. Sometimes it's really tricky. It wants to be as exact as you can. This is one of those moments that I was talking about where if they're so in line with each other that they won't want to snap to each other, so then it's easier to just make one line instead. So now all of my lines should be matching up with each other. When I hit this green check mark, it intermittently does this, which is fine. I'll save it. Beetle 2. And I'll take a minute. So now I have my floor. And since it's in a regular shape, when I hover over it, it shows up as a box. But if it is more of a rectangular shape, it'll fill out that whole form, and you won't see kind of both at the same time. If I go to my 3D view, you can see it pretty well. I did pick these more outside lines, so that's something that could go through and edit if I wanted to, but I think for these purposes it's okay. Now I'm going to go to level 1, architecture, and insert some columns. I'm going to put them, get this silly warning, turn this volume down. I'm going to keep placing them, even though those warnings are going to pop up, it's okay. And now I have 6 columns. If I go to my 3D view, this is what it was warning me about, is that the top constraint is the floor 1 over here, and they're offset 9 feet, and the base and the top constraint are level 1, which is why part of the reason why it was giving me that error. So if I change the top level to say level 2, apply, and then I could make this 0 and it would cut them to the first floor I made. We're going to make it -2, so they're just a little bit further down but not quite so far. I'm going to apply that to all of them. Change this to level 2, change this to -2, hit apply, and now they're all kind of hiding in there. One thing we can also do is change the top constraint to make them taller so they reach more up closer to the top shell. So after we add the columns, I'm going to jump to level 1, and now you can see these columns here. If we highlight this floor boundary, double click while it's in the 3D, and then go to level 1 if it's being tricky. So one more thing we're going to do while we're in this modify edit boundary line really quickly is add a cut in the floor for stairs or an overlook or something. So for something simple like stairs, you can use the rectangle tool, and I'm just gonna nest it next to this grid line. Click twice, and if you click the check mark, it automatically does it for you super fast. So now if we go to our 3D view and it's highlighted, you can't see it, but you can see it's removed right inside of there. It's hard to tell from this level. If I change the constraints to level 2, it'll automatically jump up. You still can't see it very well, but that's another way that you can edit and modify your Revit model.